All right. Well,
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And usually by New Year's we get our theater starts to get, usually at Christmas, our theater gets some more of the big awards contenders. Like in this particular case, say La La Land or something.
Yeah.
We are seeing Manchester by the Sea. When you see this tomorrow.
Yeah, we would have seen this. Well, we'll see this tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So on New Year's Eve is when we're doing a marathon of filming. We got a bunch of prediction videos to come out. We got Globes and Oscars predictions to come out. We got a lot of verses to film, a lot of videos. So all that stuff's going to be coming out for the next couple months here on the network.
And as you can see, we got a whopping one movie. And that movie just happens to be Fences.
There is no need for a timestamp. There is one video today, one movie. So there is no point to even say anything.
And Fences obviously is the adaptation of the play by August Wilson, I think is the guy's name. And it actually, I believe everybody in the movie was in the play.
Makes sense.
And specifically Denzel and Viola Davis and Denzel, who decided to direct this adaptation. I actually heard that he says he's done directing now. Because this is his third one, because he did Antoine Fisher, which is great, and he did The Great Debaters, which, if you remember a scene from The Great Debaters, you remember more about The Great Debaters than I do.
That's a fair point.
I'm sure it's fine if I saw it again, but anyway. And yes, this is one of those movies that's pretty much adapted directly from the stage, to my understanding.
You can tell, it feels like a stage play, without a doubt.
Which means that it's going to probably get two big criticisms, and I think I've already heard it get both of them, predictably. And that is, I've heard people calling it acting the movie, and there is it's nothing more than a filmed play, or something. Well, for starters, I do feel like that Denzel made it feel like an actual movie. Like, I don't see the filmed play criticism here, even though it is very long scenes of just dialogue for much of its 2 hour and, 13-minute runtime?
Yeah.
Something like that. And yes, obviously there's going to be... It's written for the stage, so obviously the acting is going to be kind of big. Before it even fades in from the black screen, Denzel's letting you know how big his performance is going to be, because we can already hear him before it even fades in. And yeah, it's basically, if for some reason you're unaware of this, there's really not a lot to it story-wise. It's really mainly just Denzel is like an aging garbage man, and he's at such a point, and there's still kind of it's set in like the 50s, so there's still that racial divide. So really, his big motivation is to go from garbage man to garbage truck driver.
Yeah,
and that's like a huge promotion.
In concept, it kind of reminds me a bit of Carnage. The way that Carnage flows, the way everything takes place basically in one secluded area with a small group of people.
Yeah, there's hardly any scenes outside of the house.
No.
Well, not just like outside of
the area,
the house and the yard. Yeah,
the house and the yard.
Like the opening scenes, and when we see him like go to work occasionally. Other than that, we're usually at the house, I think.
Yeah, it is 100% a play, and you can definitely tell without a doubt that it is.
And should we just go ahead and go into Denzel's performance here? Because
absolutely.
Like, I gotta be honest with you, I know that, I mean, I haven't seen Manchester by the Sea yet, so I have nothing to gauge exactly, but Casey Affleck has been sweeping this award season. He's been winning like every single award that's been given. Even if there's a small award that shakes it up a little bit and gives it to different people or unexpected things.
Casey still wins.
Always.
It's the Christoph Waltz syndrome.
But then again, there are cases where I feel like where it's like somebody can win that much in like the Critics Award stage, but when we get to the bigger ones like Globe and SAG and so on, then somebody else starts taking over. Like I said, I have not seen Manchester by the Sea, so I don't know how Casey Affleck is. but I'm having a really hard time believing that Denzel doesn't give a winning performance here. Especially somebody as renowned as him, whose last win was 15 years ago. Which for anybody else, you would say, they've won, so they're never going to win again. I don't think Denzel's that person. I'm not saying he's going to win for this because Casey Affleck's really, really just on a steamroll right now.
Right.
But this is the kind of performance that wins big awards. And what I'm basically trying to say is, if Denzel should start taking over when the more kind of in the public eye awards happen,
it's very possible.
It wouldn't be surprising at all.
No, not at all.
Like if Casey Affleck's streak were to just stop dead at, say, the Golden Globes or something, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever, no matter how good he's done up to this point. Because it is just... Well, there was something I was talking about recently, which unfortunately I can't say because it's spoiler territory, but I will kind of go around that. But
okay.
There are scenes that feel like... There are scenes in this movie that feel like they're already classic scenes. Like, I almost feel like I'm watching an updated version of something we all know.
Yeah, see that.
And a lot of that comes from these scenes where, 2 hours and 13 minutes... Maybe 2 hours of this movie is just Denzel monologuing. And who's going to complain about that? I would hope not many. Some of the opening scenes when he's talking about this feud he has with death, and how he actually has wrestled death in the past to escape dying. All this stuff. And the thing is that he is... he's a very interesting character to watch because he has all these... The character, the way we see him in the first half and the way we see him in the second half, changed so drastically because of one thing. And that, I wouldn't say what that is, but throughout the whole beginning here, it's set up that his character basically trusts nobody. And he's I suppose understandably, given we're in the 50s, he's very much right in the middle of that racial divide, saying, white people aren't going to let him or people like him do anything in this world. And obviously, while that could have been true of the time, there is this whole thing where he just seems like... It's like he thinks the whole world is out to get him. And he's defensive at every turn of all that stuff. And then there's stuff where he kind of tries to show that he's, wiser, and shows that he's not naive. But then we have stuff in there where it's like, he's been paying, what is it, $10 or $15 a month for furniture that has long since been paid off, but he's afraid of, karma circumstances.
He's afraid not to pay.
And then it reaches that point, that turning point for his character... And you realize he thinks everybody's a liar, he thinks everybody's out to get him, he doesn't trust anybody. And then that turning point happens, and your thought is, you think about him again from the first half, and you think, so is this guy really wise and, really knowledgeable of the world around him? Or is he just a master projector? And you kind of ask yourself those questions about this character for the remainder of the runtime, and the way Denzel plays him in kind of that ambiguous way. Well, it was hard to say ambiguous, but in a way that kind of makes you question exactly where this character's headed and how he's going to handle it when he gets there, because there seems to be so many combating things about his character that Denzel balances really well. And it's just the whole time. And I was talking about those scenes that they feel like they're classic scenes, like when I think it's Corey tells him, why don't you like me? And that whole monologue about, I don't have to like you, you're a responsibility, just that whole thing. And like I said, it felt like I was watching something from this feels like a movie that would have been a classic, like it was right out of old Hollywood or something.
Right.
And there's also the "Don't Strike Out" scene, It's like all this stuff that it just feels like scenes that are going into like instant classic status. So I really love seeing stuff like that. And as far as Viola Davis is concerned, yeah, when we did one of the prediction videos, I said that I was under the impression that number one, she was a leading character, and secondly, that it was basically Viola Davis doing the Viola Davis, yelling and crying thing. That's really not the case. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was surprised. Because, unlike Viola Davis most of the time, at least from what I've seen of hers,
Right.
a lot of her stuff for most of this movie is internalized. It's only when we kind of reach a certain turning point that she really, really has to come out and really show that emotion. And by that point in the movie, it's actually earned. Say that I'm okay. If it hasn't been made clear, I'm typically not the biggest Viola Davis fan. Really, like not even something like Suicide Squad where she did something totally different. But there's something here that she does that I do really like, where she's known for kind of doing the big crying scenes in most movies. But this movie and this performance showed that I think she's definitely, her strong suit I think would be total subtlety. Because she seemed to really, really excel there, and I kind of saw something in her that I haven't yet. There's performances like Doubt, where she's only in it for 7 minutes, and it's kind of, that performance in Doubt kind of gradually builds as things are revealed in that scene to kind of get her to that point. So it's kind of like, yeah, obviously her performance in Doubt's probably more impressive because she basically does what she does here, just in the span of 7 minutes, as opposed to the whole movie. But the fact that she does have the whole span of the movie to work up to that point kind of makes the payoff a little more strong. So I was happy with that. And then there's the side actors, like, is it Steven Henderson? I think is his name.
Yes.
Oh. And he's like Denzel's buddy that's just kind of always hanging around. And then there's people like Russell Hornsby. I can't remember the kid that played Corey's name off the top of my head.
Jovan Adepo.
And then there is Michael T. Williamson. So the thing, okay, this is kind of a tough one because the thing is that first off, there's nothing wrong with Michael T. Williams' performance. Really nothing. It's the thing is the character is kind of, while Michael T. Williams' performance is good, it's also the kind of character and performance you hear about in parodies of Hollywood. You know, like I'm looking at Tropic Thunder, for instance. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of a question mark overall, but regardless of the character or how it's written or however it goes, Williams' performance is fine. It has nothing to do with why you would see a character like this, especially in today's movies. Not that, I don't know, it's a tough thing, because obviously, you know, in the real world, we're going to have characters. I'm just stuck in this. I'm stuck in this hole now. This I gotta be as PC as possible. But yeah, so what I'm saying is it did kind of do its very best to rise above being the kind of stuff that's been parodied and stuff like that. And given the fact that this is clearly an awards contender.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, being strictly about its acting and its writing too, don't get the wrong idea about that, but its acting is a real showcase here. And for a role like that to be within this, it's just kind of like, just how far are we pushing for those awards exactly? Because, you know, Robert Downey Jr. did give a very famous speech once that Michael T. Williamson probably should have heard prior to this. But yes. Although it does involve it stems from a war injury, so it's not quite there. So there you go. Okay, let me dig myself out of this now. What I really like about this, and I'm not sure if this is the writing or the direction. I'm sure it's probably both working together. But I was talking about the fact that you can tell this is a play because there are very, very long scenes where everything it's all in the dialogue. But at the same time, there are moments where they actually kind of let. What's great about the scenes being so long is, for starters, it helps the pacing a lot. This movie doesn't feel its length whatsoever.
No.
That was really surprising, how fast this movie goes. And I think what that has to do with is just the fact of how long these scenes are, and how they actually, while they're mostly dialogue, there's also moments where they're just kind of, in other movies, in other lesser put together movies, you would kind of dismiss it as they're just trying desperately to reach a bloated runtime, and they're just dragging it out. But here you can definitely tell they're kind of letting the scenes breathe to kind of let everything you see in them resonate before they move on. It's really not in a hurry. And the fact that the runtime goes by so quickly, it's very much an asset of this movie, how it's able to flow so nicely while taking its time at the same time. Like, the particular scene when Denzel comes to the realization that he has to tell Viola Davis something, and that is established, and then there's just kind of a long moment where he's just kind of standing outside the house, kind of waiting to go inside, or kind of biding his time. Scenes like that, like moments like that, where we're not in some big hurry to get to what the payoff is going to be. We kind of have that breathing room a little bit for it to build just a little longer before it comes. And then there is stuff like in the writing, for instance. The writing is very good. There's, like, if Moonlight hadn't shifted to adapted, this would have run away with it.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing here is something is established. I should note real quick before I go into this. There's a lot of people in the theater with us.
Yeah, there really was.
And now with that established, there is something that we know within a scene, and then the next scene happens, and we realize that what we already know is about to be put on another person, so that they will know. So there should be no surprises here in this scene, right? But there is just one line, one tiny itty bitty sentence of further elaboration on something we already know, and the whole theater gasped simultaneously with one slight elaboration on what we already know. And it gets that big of a reaction. That's really good. That's really damn good writing too. So I really moments like that. So yes, that's pretty much the extent of all I need to say here, because it's, as I said, it's one of those movies where it's all on the dialogue and the acting, and that's for a story like this, that's all it needs. And even though there's really not a whole lot going on in the story department, the dialogue and the acting do everything to keep it going. And like I said, it just feels so fast despite being so long. And yeah, it just feels like it really feels like a classic in the making. Like, people will dismiss it as just another year's Oscar bait or whatever. I really felt watching this like it was a classic in the making. So I'm very interested to see how that goes, especially if Denzel really does not direct anymore. That might also kind of give it a bit of a prestige factor in itself. So yeah, I'd like to see how that turns out. There we go. That's it.
First review of 2017, and it is one movie. Wow. Next week, Manchester by the Sea.
Yes.
That's official. Coming out next week, we have Hidden Figures and the New Underworld.
It'll still be 2016 when they see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one more day.
Yeah. No, this is the last review of 2016.
Last review, yes,
yeah.
okay.
Last review of 2016. So hopefully you guys and girls out there will enjoy the next couple months here on the network. A lot of videos coming, and don't worry, after everything changes the way it will, you're not going to be left without movie reviews. Things are going to be a little different in a lot of ways, but
Might look a little different.
it's going to look a lot different, and the timing won't be as on
Precise.
time as usual,
Yeah.
but
That's
you'll
really
still
that-
get your concept.
That's really the only setback.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be a little behind.
So, tomorrow we have our 2017 Academy Awards prediction video. It's going to be out at some point
Years, plural.
tomorrow. The video will be all the normal categories. We normally do the Big 8, but because this is the last one, we're going to be adding the other categories as well. So 2 big videos coming for you tomorrow. And then we have our Golden Globes predictions coming on Monday. So a lot of good stuff here on the network. We're going to go to an action-themed versus coming up on Sunday. So
Got some sci-fi in there.
yeah,
too.
action, sci-fi, a little bit of both, a little bit of everything. A little bit of people possibly coming back. Maybe
I could
not.
just throw one name out there and it'd be a dead giveaway.
Yeah. 2 movies that had sequels, not really sequels, but
Remakes.
in the last
And-
several years. We'll put it that way.
And it's the same director.
Yeah. So that's going to be your video for today. Next week, like I said, the movies that are coming out. So continue to check along with the Podcast Network here in 2017 as of tomorrow. So hopefully, guys and girls out there, enjoy your New Year's. And AJ, any parting words?
That's it.